talk shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, Nick Mochka and Claudia Pasa, Amanda Murray, and Grant Morrell. I'm gonna give it to you, Claudia. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Claudia Prischer. I'm an intuitive energy theta healer and as well mindset coach. And I help my clients in regards to my gift is to identify the limitations or the blocks we might have in regards to getting our dreams and desires. I just got a bit stuck. So sorry. So that we can unreveal them and change them into positive ones and get what we would love to have out of our life. That's me.
I'll go. My name's Amanda. I am a teacher and author, and I help people find their unique creative capacities within themselves. And my passion is to empower others to start loving their lives by just connecting with their creative gifts. Nick?
Hello, I am Nick Motichka. I am the founder of a fashion brand here in Alberta, Canada called Flow State Designs. And prior to that, I was a police officer for 17 years. And I am on a mission to just be an example of what you can do in your life if you live in alignment.
Nice.
Over to you, Grant.
Thanks, Nick. My name is Grant Morrell, coach, trainer, and an international best-selling author. 20 years myself and an international entrepreneurs, business owners, and 15 countries. Help them to increase their blend in just a few short months. Team, the systems, their mindset, and so that they can live a life of passion, purpose, a business, and a lifestyle that can become a legacy. But I have a vision to take 1 million leaders and live life without limits by clear message with the world. Not
Oh, hi everyone. I was just checking. Grant, you sound cranky, cutting out for you guys. Yeah, you keep cutting off with your connection, so that's why I'm putting earphones on to say whether is it my end or your end. So our topic today is the importance of goal settings. Amanda, you chose this topic. So I know goal settings is very, very important. It helps you to trigger new behaviors, and it helps us to focus on where we need to go, and it helps us to also sustain the momentum in our lives. So I'm going to let Amanda explain the topic to our audience. Because you chose this topic, there must be something special. So now I can take my earphones off.
I chose this topic because here in Alberta in Canada, it's the start of the school year. I don't know if it is for the UK too, but at the start of the school year, I like to work with the kids about what are their goals and what is it that and so often our goals are aligned with what it is that we enjoy. And if they hate math, then they're going to still continue to have that mindset of hating math. And then they'll continue to manifest not being good at math, and then it will continue to snowball. So essentially what I want to do with my kids this year is to start with a positive mindset in areas maybe that they struggle with, and set some goals so that they work on achieving those goals in a positive way, in a way that they're like willing to engage in. And I think for adults too, if there's something that we are struggling with, that it's so much of it is about our mindset. And so I actually wrote a blog post on the gift of goal setting a few weeks ago. So that's one of the reasons why I picked the topic. The other topic was because I've been thinking about goals in math and literacy and reading for my grade 5s. And I just wanted to start the year with some goal setting. And so I wanted to know about what other people, how they set goals. And I know I set goals for myself all the time. Like I've written 9 children's books. Originally, my goal was just to write one. And when I started teaching, one of my first goals was to do my master's degree. And I did that. It just took me longer than I planned because I ended up having a daughter, and it took me 4 years instead of 2 years to do. But there's just, when you set a goal and you really work to achieve it, no matter how hard it is, sometimes overcoming the obstacles that come in your way just like show how much you are capable of perseverance. And I think that perseverance is something that many kids right now, they need that skill. The resilience and the perseverance are skills that they need, and I don't know if that's necessarily being taught. So yeah, that's what do you think? What are your guys' goals? Nick, do you have one?
So, well, thank you, first of all, for bringing that amazing lesson to children in goal setting. That's certainly not something that I had when I was growing up in school. So thank you very much for doing that. And this topic, actually, when I saw that the topic was going to be on goal setting, I actually felt some resistance. And I think that's because I need to work on my own goal setting, formal goal setting. I do my own way informally, but to have a specific strategy or way to do that is something that I'm kind of lacking, actually. So I'm excited to hear from you guys and to learn some things as well, and hopefully add some things as we go. Over to Grant.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you. Yeah, it's teaching goals to kids. There was no thoughts of goals, life until sort of goals even sort of came into the spectrum. But for setting is really, really, really important. But for many reasons, and almost quite holistically, I think quite a few people live sadly, a lot of people don't. I think it is because they haven't really mapped out. They haven't designed their life the way they really want to. They just go from day, a bit like being like a ship on the ocean in this direction and that direction. And if people are happy with that, but I think when it comes to the art, they just aren't really that. It's the making of that is in there. Set goals, accurate goals, not just in areas of their life. Life becomes filled. They feel more accomplished.
I think you're still getting cut off. I don't know what's wrong.
Okay, then just go to someone else.
Do you want to go out and come back?
Claudia, what do you think about goals?
I just unmuted myself in regards to goals. I mean, first of all, it's important to see and to know what it is we really want in our lives to begin with, because so often as well, what I have found that people actually don't really know what they want. They rather what they do not want, and it works like this. So we have to be clear in regards to what it is we do want. And Grant just said as well a bit that some people might ponder a long life in life, and I was too. In my past, I was just going easy with the flow and everything, but then I understood as well it's important to have goals, because if I don't have nothing out there I would like to manifest as the next thing, as the next goal, the universe will bring in like entertainment and drama for me, because I don't have anything I'm working towards to manifesting as well. So this is something I really understood. It's important to always have a list with the goals or the manifestations as well, so that your mind is always going towards what it is you are looking for in your life. What about you, Nomsa?
Certain goals. I like it when Amanda talks about she's setting goals with the kids. Thank you so much, Amanda, for setting goals with kids, because like Nick said, we didn't get that when we were at school. And we appreciate you. And I'm sure the kids that you teach, they're very lucky, and they'll grow up and know how to basically walk the path that they want. And then Claudia, you said you have to be clear, and I'm gonna start with Nick. Nick said he's not really, he's lacking on setting goals in that part. I think, Nick, you are not actually lacking, because you are actually setting goals. You are actually doing things, because when I ask you questions every week, there's an update of where you're doing something, and every time you come at Ngozi Talk Show, is either that something is complete or you have an update of where you are. For me, although you are not writing them down, but you are there, you are going, you are focusing, you're staying focused. So we appreciate that. And I just wanted to give you credit for that, because I always ask questions. I'm a nosy packer anyway. I'm curious about things. So I always ask you questions, what you've been up to. And you tell me, Nomsa, this week I'm going to be doing this based on the business and the house move and everything. And every week I always ask for update. There's always something, some improvement. So, and Claudia, you said you have to be clear of what you want. And in life, if you want to do something, I think those are the benefits of being clear of what you want to achieve in life. For me, basically, when I'm attending an event, I attend events almost every week. And when I attend an event, that means I need to achieve something. Like I attended YouTube event 2 days last week, and I ended up with the goal setting, that the things that I needed to do, and which is, I saw the email now that whatever we were doing has been completed. So I need to analyze everything and see whether is correct, and then we can sort out YouTube. And I attended the event again 2 weeks ago, and I ended up with the goal setting of creating a summit. And I thought I was attending an event with Shanda Samta. I didn't know that actually we were doing it. And I remember asking her questions, typing, and I'm like, are we actually practicing this, sending emails to people and goal setting and stuff, or we are setting goals, or we are actually doing it? And she was like, we are actually doing it. There's no time to say I'm gonna do this next week, or we are actually doing it now. So I was like, oh my God. So I'm used to go to an event where we get homework, and when we get homework, that is a homework. But for her, the homework, it means it is the reality. So I was like, okay. And that was that. So, and being clear of where I need to go. I know where I need to go with my business, and I know where I need to go with you guys. I think that is helping as well. Setting goals and knowing where I go. I've just realized I've got loads of goals. I'm gonna pass to Amanda. Grant, you back?
I'm back.
Oh yeah, you sound clear. Can you start speaking then?
Yeah, the introduction, or just my idea on goals?
Yeah, idea on goals. We moved on from introduction. That was the other I've learned. I think I'm gonna cut introduction completely. That was goal as well to fulfill.
What, to cut introductions?
What happens backwards? We lose you, but when you lean forward, we gain. Don't go that way.
So you're getting my. Is this good or bad?
Yeah, forward, lean forward.
Is this better?
Forward. Me.
I leant forward, but you get me.
And back. Okay.
You can't hear me, right?
We can hear you, but you're cutting off. Anyone wants to take over?
Yeah. One of the things that I think is really important if you have some goals and you don't know how to achieve them is to actually just start, because so many of us have these like big goals in our heads, but we don't know how we're going to get there, so we just do nothing about them. And it's amazing when you start to actually work towards goals, how things will start popping up in your life to help you achieve those goals. And so when I first decided I was going to write a children's book on feelings and it's okay to feel, essentially what happened was I was just going to write a book and it was going to be in my classroom. I was going to make it on my computer and print it off and have one book in my classroom. But then as I was working on doing the illustrations for it, people started popping up in my life who knew how to publish on Amazon. And so then I took courses to learn how to self-publish on Amazon. And so now essentially all of my books are actually out to the world on Amazon. But originally that wasn't my plan. My plan was just I wanted this one book in my classroom because I saw a need for it. And so I just started. And I think with Nick too, you could probably speak to this with your clothing line of how you have this goal of starting a clothing line, but and all of the qualities that tie into it to make it different from what other people are doing, yet you weren't in the clothing industry before. So when you started, you didn't know what you were doing. And essentially, I think that's something that blocks a lot of us a lot of the time, is being like, well, I don't know how, so I'm just going to do nothing. And then we just wait years and years and years until we get the confidence to actually start. And what I think is really important is starting. Start now. If you have a goal, it doesn't matter if you know how to achieve it or not, you need to just start. And even when blocks come up in the way, like my goal to finish my master's, I ended up having a baby. I ended up going through a very toxic divorce, all in the middle of finishing my master's, but it was still my goal. And so I still made sure that I achieved it. And yet many people probably could have been like, oh, well, all of these things came up, so I just never finished it. But essentially, I think if there's something that's really important to you, you will do everything you can to overcome those barriers and those blocks to be able to achieve your goal. And I think that's something that's that perseverance and resilience piece that is something that I think everyone can work on, because when we have that, we're able to step into our power and actually go. And then we also feel more drive for life and more alive and this more creative flow that when we don't have those things, we can kind of feel lost and stuck. What do you guys think?
Absolutely, Amanda. This is why it's important at the beginning to create a juicy why it is what you want to be doing, because in the end is where the motivation we might lose down the line. It doesn't last that long, the motivation, and this is why we need a good reason why we want to do something and what it means as well for us in our life, because when the going gets tough, we will always be coming back to the why and read the statement, and then we would get back into this feeling of excitement as well. And what you said as well in regards to the how, it's absolutely exciting to go for a big goal, absolutely dream big, yeah. But sometimes we might feel like, but how am I going to achieve it? And already we have a voice in the background, and it keeps us away from starting the next step and the step after and so on. So the how is not our job, as you say as well, Amanda. The job is to know our juicy why, the reason why we want to be doing it, and what it is we want to be doing. And then we will get the support by the people as well, as it was in your case as well, because the universe is always helping us as well and supporting us, especially when we decide to go at the action steps as well. And then what we are going to find is that the universe will send us the right people and the opportunities along our way. This is what I have found.
Yeah, that's great, Claudia. And I've definitely found something similar as I've progressed. And for me, I think I needed to kind of bumble along, like you guys mentioned, in my life in order to realize or discover what I don't want in my life. And so for me, that was a career that I started out in with a passion, and it was definitely a goal of mine to become a police officer. And I made that happen. And then I got into the profession, and then quickly I found that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I came in with all these naive thoughts that I'd be helping people every day, and that turns out not to be the case at all in police work. And so I kind of struggled for a lot of years, just almost disenchanted because I'd achieved this goal that I'd set for myself, and then I got it, and then it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and I just kind of coasted, I guess, for a lot of years. And then it got to a point where I was uncomfortable enough to make a change. And for me, that was setting, I guess, the goal of starting my own thing and doing something in alignment for me currently. And then once I set that in motion, like Amanda, you mentioned, just start. So I started and figured out the first step, and then figured out the second step, and then the universe was sending me people and situations and all of the things I needed to progress in my, I guess, long-term goal. And so it's been an interesting journey for sure in the last couple of years. And yeah, I like everything that you guys have said about goal setting, and it's something that I'm still working on for sure. And it's something I'm doing, I guess, more informally. But no, this is great. I appreciate all the information from you guys. Grant, how's your audio?
Let's see. Can you hear me now? Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up.
Muted, so we can test it if.
Don't worry. Just don't want to spoil the flow of the show.
Okay, can you speak, Grant?
Yeah, I can speak. Guys, you can hear me or you can't. Show for the people listening. So
we can hear you. We can hear you. You need to speak. Speak about the topic.
Yeah. Okay. So goal setting. Then the way I think it's imperative, because feel good life, as what I was saying earlier, don't. And I think it's because they just go just bouncing around, rather like a boat, and they get blown in different directions of that. But the sad thing I see is a lot, and they're not happy. They don't believe they can live a fulfilled life, make good goals. In their business life, it must be goals. In fact, I have a whole range of goals in their life to keep complete degree process, so that they live a life, and with that, they're happier, or happiness with other people, and that's spreading a positive ripple in a world to setting good goals. What about you, Nomsa? What's your thoughts on that?
You keep cutting off. Do you have earphones?
No.
Okay. You keep cutting off. I don't know why. Settings, for me, I agree with Amanda. She said, if you don't know where you are going, you still have to just go for it and set your goals and find that drive as you go. You can and also you spoke about, Claudia, you spoke about the how, find out later how. And even Nick said, you mentioned that you, when you set up goals, you set up goals, and then you go for the things that you want to do, and then even if you feel uncomfortable, you just keep going. So I think that is, for me, that is setting goals. We know the destination where we need to go. No one ever knows how they're gonna get there, how they're gonna get to where to go when you're setting goals. And that's how I set goals myself as well. When I set goals, I always know that I know the ending of what I want, but I don't know how I'm gonna get there. Like right now, I'm setting the summit, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm doing it anyway. I've never done something before. There's no way that I'm gonna say, oh yes, I have this, I have this, I have this. I have a plan, but I don't know how. So I know the ending, but I'm doing it anyway. So far things have been really good. There's been I've been inviting people. Some have been rejecting my summit. Some have been getting excited. Some have been saying we can make it. So those are the things that when you're setting goals, you have to be prepared for, because the fear is going to appear, and that voice, the inner voice, that is very critical. Will be like, you can't do this, you can't do this, who do you think you are? And I'm like, okay, sometimes I talk to myself, and I think sometimes when I'm on my earphones, I'm listening to music, but sometimes people, they hear me talk, they think I'm talking over the phone. But sometimes when that voice comes in, I have to confront it straight away and say, oh no, I can. When the voice comes in and say, you can't do this, who do you think you are? I have to say out loud and declare it that, oh yes, I can do this. I can set goals and get to where I need to go. So when you set goals, you have to be disciplined as well. When you are disciplined, it means there are no excuses. It means whatever you have said you are going to do, there is no way out. There's only way in and forward. And when you get stuck, you pick up the phone and find someone that can help you, or go to the email and email someone and explain you're stuck, and they'll be able to help you. Now we have WhatsApp as well. You can WhatsApp somebody and they'll be able to help you. So we don't have excuses. We don't have the social media, and there is YouTube as well. On YouTube, you can actually go and get some ideas. And I'll set up my business by going to events. And you see my phone. So what I used to do is I would just, when the speaker is speaking, I'll be recording whatever they're speaking. I'll be holding my phone there. And then I'll go on Facebook. I'll save the video, but private. I'll save the video private. And when I get home, everybody else goes to sleep. I'm on my computer implementing everything that I've been learning. So I'm implementing, and that's how I set up my business. That's how, of course, I had a coach when I get stuck, but sometimes people always think that the coach is there to sort everything out. The coach is there to give you some ideas. The coach is there to guide you through, but you do the rest. So I will do the rest. And I'll just go to Des when I need some guidance, and when I get stuck, I'll just go to him when I need very, very important things. And also, he's a very good coach as well. When he comes across with something to do with my business, he bombards me with the information so that I'm 1 week okay. So his job is to call me and say, are we good? Do you need me? So those are the things that I had to do. And taking notes as well. If you go, like you watch the talk shows, or you go to somebody on YouTube channel, or you're looking for something, have a pen and paper, because you might find some useful information. Write down everything and keep notes. Have a diary, keep notes. Over to you, Grant.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you hear me? I'm not seeing any response.
Speak. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
I've been seeing you.
Yeah.
Right. One. Just give me a thumb. Yeah.
You're still
Hear me.
breaking up. It's cut and out still.
Nick can't. I don't know. So the other response, I'll speak one last time.
I
So,
tell you what you
yeah,
need,
goals-
Grant. Grant, I tell you what you need. If your Wi-Fi is not working, you need to reboot it, switch it off for 1 second or 2
done
seconds. You've done that. Okay. Okay.
All right. Don't worry, guys. Take care.
I have something to say about what you said, Nomza, because I think when you're trying something new and you're reaching towards your goals, that puts you in a vulnerable state. And so many of us avoid vulnerability, but really what we need to do in some cases is to actually step towards that vulnerability, because when we step into our vulnerability, we actually become stronger, and it's okay to be vulnerable. And yet so many of us feel like it's not okay to be vulnerable. And we think that so often we kind of avoid some of those goals that we have because we're scared of what other people will think, or we're scared of not succeeding. And really, in any case, no matter what it is that you're doing, you have the opportunity to learn and grow, especially if you start working towards achieving a big goal, like shifting a career or starting a new business. And there's vulnerability in all of those things, and so often people will just play it safe, right? And there's no excitement in playing it safe. I think we all need to like grab life by the horns and really embrace this one life that we have, because if we always play it safe, then our life is going to be pretty boring. And so playing it safe can look different. Like, it can be, oh, I'm going to try to do a YouTube live and see what happens. And even like today with us, things aren't working out the way we had hoped because Grant was cutting in and out, but we're still going to power through and do our goal of being a talk show, right? And so there are always bumps along the way, no matter what it is that you're striving to achieve. But it is about how you navigate those bumps. And if you just keep going, and we just modeled that right now, that resiliency to keep going and just navigate things as they go, because there will be roadblocks. And really, if you're working towards achieving a goal that you really, really want, it's how you navigate those roadblocks that is going to affect the outcome. Because you will navigate things and then you'll get stuck and blocked and maybe just give up. And I know I've talked about this before, but the person who started Starbucks had like 217 no's before he finally got a yes for an investor. And so if we can think about that when we're starting things, like, have you tried 217 times? If you haven't, maybe you need to keep going, because there's something that you need to learn along each and every way. And I've read some quotes about Edison too, and just how many tried to do what he did and just never gave up because he had this goal in his mind. So that resiliency piece and that perseverance piece and that vulnerability piece, I think, are some things that we sometimes avoid, and yet we should really step into that.
Yes, and the thing is as well, we will always feel fear when we want to try something new in our lives, because we are all programmed to be on the safe side in the comfort zone, and understanding this helps as well to pass through the fear and to go through this comfort zone and to go into our stretch zone, because this is where we learn as well. And goals actually as well, what you said, Amanda, are for growing and learning. Absolutely. Yeah, so yeah, totally agree. that it's important once more to identify the anxiety or the fear. One might be nervous, but it's just part of it. And you still, acknowledge everything, and you take action, and you see your vision, and you go towards, and you take action steps. And one thing as well, I don't think anyone mentioned here, it's always important as well to set a date for the goal when you feel like it's going to be accomplished, because by doing this as well, you set an intention, and intentions are a very strong form of energy. So this is why it's important as well to set the date for the goal.
That's great. Great advice. And as Nomsa was talking, I was thinking about fear versus regret. And for me, it's pushing through that fear and getting outside my comfort zone and doing these things that are pushing myself forward. There's fear there for sure. But to push through that, I would way rather deal with that fear and push through it in the moment than to look back in 5, 10, 30 years from now with regret and think, oh, what could have happened, or what could I have done with my life if I would have, or coulda, shoulda, all that sort of thing. And for me, that would be the ultimate, that would just be a terrible thing to have, is that regret. I'll deal with the fear every day gladly over that regret. And then I like what you just said, Claudia, about the setting a time frame for it. So I think for me personally, in my journey and in my progression, basically to start my own business, I haven't always set time frames, and it's definitely seemed to me that when I don't set a time frame, things tend to drag out, which has been good and bad for me, because there's certain things that took a long time, and then looking back with the benefit of hindsight, it actually worked out perfectly. So an example for me was, I was progressing, pushing my brand forward. I was working with a lyocell product, which is made from tree pulp, basically, but it has to go through a chemical process. And so I thought that was my fabric, and it was really, my process was dragging out, making samples that just wasn't fitting right. Nothing was going forward. It was taking a long time. And then all of a sudden, I've discovered a hemp and organic cotton blend that was the perfect one. And so if I would have pushed forward and brought that lyocell product to the market, it wouldn't have been the same. It just wouldn't have been right. And so sometimes these delays have actually, with again hindsight, have worked out to my benefit. But that's not to say that putting time frames on your goals is definitely still a good thing. Absolutely.
I think that one thing that some people forget to do too is, when you just start, is to also write down things daily that you're going to do to achieve your goals. But also don't just stop everything. You need to have some sort of plan in place of what you're going to do, and have some a backing as well in some areas, and not all the time is this the case. But I know the person who wrote Big Magic, and I think she also wrote Eat, Pray, Love, she essentially worked as a waitress for years and years and years, and wrote as well, and writing was her job. But she didn't actually quit waitressing until Eat, Pray, Love hit it really big. And it was because she always wanted to have that safety net in place, but also she didn't give up on her goal to keep writing and to be a writer. But if she had quit her waitressing job, then she wouldn't have been able to pursue her writing in the same way, because she still needed to put food on the table. And so I really like her story, because it shows when you're really passionate about something, and you keep striving towards it, that eventually it will come to fruition. And I really love her book, Big Magic, because it just talks about the magic of striving to your goals, and to keep working towards them, and also to be smart about it too, where you're working towards something and you have some sort of plan. Like I know when I was going through my divorce and trying to finish my master's, I ended up living in my aunt and uncle's basement because I didn't want money to be tight. And sometimes you have to take a step back and do some things to make sure that things aren't going to be as tight or whatever it is, so that you can modify your life a little bit so that goals can come to fruition later on. And so if I had been like, no, I'm going to get a big house right away and move right when I'm going through a divorce and trying to finish my master's and I have a toddler, that would have been really stupid. But I tried to do it in a smart way by being like, okay, I need to make sure that my finances are going to be okay so that I can still achieve this goal. Otherwise, it's going to be really tight, and putting food on the table is going to be a hard thing. And so trying to change your life sometimes for short periods of time, even like make some sacrifices, like living with in-laws or something that you do for a while so that you can make those goals a reality. And we have to sacrifice sometimes, like your playtime or your watching sports time to step up and achieve your goals. And you have to be willing to what are you willing to let go of in order for you to have the time to achieve your goals? Because we all only have 24 hours a day, right? And so what are you going to do with those 24 hours? And for me, like I work like 8 hours a day when I teach approximately, right? Sometimes I work more, sometimes I work a little less. But there are other times throughout the day where I can work on achieving my goals, which could be like a fitness goal or my own business goal. Like there's lots of time, whereas some people will just come home and just watch TV and relax and unwind. But how much time are you taking to do that versus how much time are you taking to work on your goals each day? And if you really look at that, there's some time blocking that you could find time. If you're like, oh, I work all the time. Well, do you really? Like, do you work for 13, 14 hours a day? Because if you don't, you probably do have some time that you can time block in, even just 20 minutes to work on some goal achieving activities.
Yeah, it is important. I agree with you. And I also agree with Claudia. You spoke about setting time frame. And for those who are listening, if you do set the time frame, if things don't go according to plan, because things will change, life will throw you some things that you didn't expect. It does not mean that you still have to give up. You have to keep going. It is important to know where you're going. If you know what you want to achieve, even though life hits you with whatever it hits you with, because life will. So it means that you can keep going. And even if that time scale things have not worked out. So I just wanted to be clear that part. And Amanda, you said you can go to your in-laws, you can do different things in order to achieve and cut down so many things. Like you were going through divorce, he's talking about going through divorce, and then you had to cut down and make sure that you were living in a normal house with Ellie, instead of wanting to live in a big house and wanting to become a writer. Something you had to let go, and this is what I did as well. And I lost my friends as well in the process, because they thought I didn't make any sense by living from a mansion and going to live in a 2-bedroom flat with my daughter. And they were like, why are you moving out and your marriage is falling apart? Now you are living in a 2-bedroom apartment. But they didn't realize that I had goals that I needed to live. I had plans that look at my daughter, and I wanted her to have education, which is sending her to a private school. And was there a point for me to live in a big mansion with just my daughter? No, there wasn't. Spending time or getting someone to come and clean the house or cleaning the house myself, spending 2 hours or 3 hours. I could be spending that time researching my business. So I had a plan, I had goals, but my friend couldn't get it. They were like, my friends couldn't get it. They were like, why do you come and live this place? They taught me whatever they thought, but I was like, I'm good. And I was like, I'm not gonna explain myself. I don't need to explain it. You can either stay with me or you go. So they judged me, but I knew my plan. I knew where I needed to go. So you don't need. The reason that I'm saying this to people is, you don't need to have fear of people judging you. You don't need to do that. Some people, they fear if I downsize and how people gonna look at me, they're gonna start. Nobody cares. Only you care about your journey. People sometimes don't take any notice of what you do. So, because they're so busy. They are so busy with their own issues, their own problems. Like myself, I have friends. If my friends are not okay, I can notice that there's something wrong with them, then I ask questions. But if they don't want to explain it to me why they are not okay, I'm okay with it as well. I just have to be there, let them know that I'm okay. And also the life that they are living, if the lifestyle changes, I support them. I'm like, you don't need a huge house like Nick as well. You were saying you had to move out from a huge house to a normal house that we call normal. Because sometimes we feel that we have to be seen living this lifestyle, but actually our destiny, what does our destiny say? Our destiny says we can live that moment, a beautiful life, if we are allowed to, if God allows us to do that. But when the changes come in our way that we don't want to welcome, that makes us uncomfortable, that want us to take our life to the next level, that means we have to accept that change. In order for you to be, for God or the universe to promote you, I don't know your beliefs, I'm with God. In order for God to promote me, I'm gonna have to go down fast. And then when I go down, I have to pick myself up. And then I receive my success. So that's what life is about. If anyone is setting goals, don't worry about don't worry about people, how they're gonna think about what it means, the value, your values and your beliefs, how important it is for you, whatever you want to do. What is your big why are you doing it? If you're doing it, you're not doing it for people, you're doing it for yourself, go for it and cut the noise. There will be so many people wanting to give you advice, wanting to let you know how you're not doing things properly. Cut the noise without ego. Just cut the noise. Tell people, I got this. Trust me, I got this. Do you want to help? Give them a task. If you see them interfering, you can shut people up by saying, you could help me with this. It seems like you want to know more about my life. You could help me this. Would you like to help me? Just give them a task. If they're just there to interfere, they'll be like, no thanks, I'm busy. Who is that? Oh, scratching. Is that you, Claudia?
Sorry, I was just writing something to say. So sorry, you just inspired me. You know, I'm just making notes, listening to you guys. So sorry, it was me. I'm going mute.
Make sure you're muted. You're muted. Okay, I'm gonna pass to you, Claudia. Is it you or?
Okay, yeah. I just made a note actually as well in regards to what you said. Absolutely, and yeah. So something as well in regards to the goals. Speak to some of your closest friends or someone, a person you trust, your partner, so that you can be made accountable as well for it. Not that it's just words on your end and the others don't know about it as well. Something else, a tip in regards to to be made accountable for the goals is to find a mentor or to find a coach as well, and to work with them as well, so that you just know that you're on the right track. And a little tip as well I love to do always with my clients is I ask them to connect to their future version, to the person who is already living this life, who got that goal and that dream and everything. So just like by connecting to that version of you who already accomplished that goal, what is he or she telling you? What action steps did she or he do in regards to achieving the goal? So this is as well a little insider tip for me. And something else as well, I just got the insight. There's a great book. It's called The 12-Week Year. It's basically, sometimes we set the goals for a whole year and it can seem a bit overwhelming. And this is a great little book where we break up the goals into 3 months only. So basically, the book shows you how to get done more in the 12 weeks, in the 3 months, than others can be doing in 12 months. It's called The 12-Week Year. Maybe this can help as well.
Yeah, a couple of things just came to mind actually, and I've heard that we as humans really overestimate what we can do in a year. If you set out a year goal, but you severely underestimate what you can accomplish in 3 years. And I think that was an interesting point that was brought up. Made me think about my own journey for sure. And then just as you guys were talking about, declaring it to the universe and talking to a coach and having someone to hold you accountable for your goals. I was thinking back to my own journey, and for me, when I was ready to move forward with my goal, I told the person who I thought would be the most judgmental and like just the worst. I picked that person, and it was a former coworker of mine who was just that person. I'm sure we all have them in our lives where they're just like everything is negative and like, oh, that'll never work, and like all of those things. So I made sure it was him that I told, the first person I ever told outside of like family and really close friends. And it was like my way of declaring to the universe, like, okay, I'm going to declare it to this guy, and I'm going to put it out there that this is what I'm doing. And it was really empowering actually for me, because I was kind of tiptoeing around, not wanting to get too deep and to probably protect myself, right, from fear of failure or whatever. And so for me to like just go for it and tell that guy, it was like, okay, game on. I need to make this happen now because I've declared it to this individual. So it's something that I did. I'm curious what you guys think about that.
I love that. I think that's hilarious, but also like super empowering, because you're like, yeah, if I told this guy I'm going to do it, I better make sure that I do it, because I don't want him to be like, haha, I told you so. I just think but that's that putting that vulnerability piece up, but also like standing in that power of like, I'm going to do this no matter what. Right. And just keep working at it no matter what. And I think that's something that so often we see people do things and we're like, why would they quit their job? Like they had a good life. And then you see what they go back and they live in a small apartment, or they move into family or friends like homes for a little bit. And then 5 years down the line, you're like, oh, that hindsight's 2020, because they had in their mind what it was that they wanted to achieve, and they actually worked their butts off and achieved it. And I think that that's something that very few people have the strength to just step out of that and do, because we just go back to what we know all the time. And even like if you watch human behavior, people will always sit at the same table in the lunchroom, or they'll always put their pants on the exact same way every single day. And in order to switch those behaviors and switch those habits, it actually has to be a conscious choice to go and sit with different people in the lunchroom, or to change your behavior is something that we really struggle with, because we're so prone to just working through life and going through life based on our habits and what we know is to be safe. And that's not always necessarily the best option when we are trying to achieve something really big, is we have to put ourselves out there and try something new. And some people that I've talked to who become done very well in their business, they quit very good jobs to start a company out of their basement. And some people will be like, why would you do that? But then 5 or 6 years down the road, you're like, wow, they totally knew what they were doing, and they achieved it. But in that time, and I spoke with a friend who started a business, and there were times where he was like, how am I going to pay my employees? And now he's doing very, very well. And so it's those moments of like truth of like, I'm going to keep going. I trust that good things are coming. And they did, and they showed up for them. And I think that's so empowering to watch other people do it, and to know that you can do it too, if you step into your power and know something that you truly want. The right people will show up, but you also have to keep working on it every day. I think that's something too that we forget is good goals don't just happen overnight, or achievements don't just happen overnight. It is the things that you are doing daily that are going to help you achieve those goals. So I always laugh when people are like, oh yeah, they became an overnight success in like the music industry or something. And you're like, well, no, they actually practiced for hours and hours and hours, and probably started playing the guitar or something at like 10 years old, and now have become an overnight success at like in their 20s. But it's like, really, they've been doing this for 10 years completely unnoticed. And so I think that's something that people who are sitting in the background always think is like, oh, they just got lucky. It's like, no, they actually worked for this for a very long time, quietly working away, and while other people were just off watching TV or binging Netflix or watching hours and hours of TikToks. And I think like one of the things I always talk about is becoming a conscious creator rather than a passive consumer. And that's what you're doing when you're going to achieve your goals, is stepping into your creative power. And that's something that I want to inspire in all of my students.
To keep going when you're setting goals, even if life doesn't make sense sometimes, you just have to keep going. And I like Nick's idea of telling people that I like to criticize. I love people who like to criticize, because they give you ideas of how to do things. And when they're criticizing you, like you're listening. If you are someone, you get angry. But me, I always listen to people that love to criticize. And when I listen to them, and I'm like, if you ask someone that is criticizing you, what would you do if it was you? Would you go for it? They'll be like, no. And then you know that then I need to do it. And also when someone is criticizing, some people, they start getting angry when someone is criticizing. You have to understand also when someone is criticizing, like Nick was using that as a strength to say, you know what? And now I've told this person that is the biggest criticizer. If I don't do this, they're gonna come back and get more and criticize more. So you have to do that every time you don't do it. You hear that voice, so you just have to do it, but not to prove a point, but just to keep going. Some people that love to criticize, they keep you that drive. They give you the drive to say, you know what? I don't want my life to be like yours. I want my life to have a meaning. I don't want to be somebody who walks in by the door and just goes in and put the TV on. Sometimes I don't know what goes on TV. Even football, I love football so much. I don't watch it anymore. But I love it. I check the score, but I love it because I know if I go and watch there, I could be spending time doing something. So sometimes I don't. And those are the things that I love to do. What else? What else I don't do? I don't really watch the news anymore, because if I watch the news, they bring fear to me. So I don't want to get sucked into it. But there are things that you can do and set up your goals, and trust is very, very important, and believing in yourself, and also challenge yourself when you're setting goals, and commitment is very, very, very important. Clarity, was it Claudia from the beginning that said you need to have clarity of where you want to go, and challenge yourself with that goal, and don't get comfortable. If a goal is making you comfortable, that means it's not enough. So you need to get to that uncomfortable place, and be willing to get feedback as well is very, very important when you are setting goals. And that's when the critics comes in, and they criticize you, and you just keep going. So it is very, very important to challenge yourself, have clarity, allow feedback, whether it's negative or good. Allow it to come to you, and use that feedback to gain strength, to develop yourself. And anyone, I think, words of encouragement, Amanda, before we leave?
Whatever your goals are, you need to just start. And by starting, then you will get inspired. And when you come across blocks, take a deep breath and reset, and keep doing little things each and every day, because we achieve big goals by repetition and by doing things daily. You can't just like going to the gym, you won't get fit if you just pile everything into one day. But if you do a little bit for a really long time and keep working at it, that's when you'll achieve your goals, your fitness goals. And it's the same in anything else. Is you can't just pile everything into one day or 1 month. It is something that's repetition and takes time. And anytime a block comes up, just reset and keep going.
I'm not sure. I was just coughing a bit on the other side, so I try to say something. I got a quote by Henry Ford. It's beautiful. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That's all I'm saying now, yeah? And happy goal setting. Happy goal setting.
Yeah, that's great. And for me, I would just say, yeah, just whatever's in alignment with you and truly lights you up, and that's something that you should be working towards. That should be your goal, and then take aligned action that feels good to you, even if it doesn't make sense to the guy at work that's super negative or whatever that situation is. As long as it feels good to you, that's the important thing, and then just take small steps in that direction. This has been great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, guys. For me, my words of encouragement is, don't worry about fear. Fear will always be there. It doesn't matter how confident you are, fear will always be there. But have a clarity of where you want to go, the ending. Think about the ending, where you need to go, and write your goals. Make a commitment to yourself that I am going to fulfill this. And have an idea, like write down what happens if you don't fulfill that promise of taking action. And even if you don't feel like it, I've started my business. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew the ending, what I need my business to look like, and I just kept going. I make mistakes along the way, and I got rejected along the way by so many people, but it didn't matter. What matters is me believing in my dreams and making a promise to myself that I am gonna get there. where I need to go. And now I have experience. If someone is starting their own business or they want to start things that I have done, I'll be able to say, yes, I can help you. Yes, I can help you to do it. Before, it was dark, but I knew the ending. So God bless. We are here at Ngozi Talk Shows Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. If you want to find your own voice, lead from within, get in touch with our coaches. And YouTube family, subscribe to our channel, please. And God bless. Live with grace.